honor Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta. May I request the technical team?
Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta is an eminent educationalist and the convener of Higher Education Forum, which is a voluntary non-profit group of individuals and organizations representing various stakeholders directly or indirectly with any form of higher education. Professor Sen Gupta has previously served as the director of SIES College of Management Studies and SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. He has a stint as a consultant with the World Bank working in Ghana on a specific banking project from 1994 to 1997 and was also a faculty member at the National Institute of Bank Management, Pune from 1990 to 1994. He is an analyst of the Pune University and started his career as a banker with Punjab National Bank. He is an avid researcher and has written 5 books and more than 50 research articles in national and international journals. We are honored to welcome Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta.
I would now like to request Dr. A.K. Sen Gupta, founder and convener, Higher Education Forum, to say a few words.
Hello. Dr. Karad, the respected dignitaries on the stage, the respected dignitaries of the stage, my faculty colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I must compliment the Institute for organizing this type of congregations of the teachers at large, higher education at large, to bring forth some of the very important issues. I have been in the field of higher education for the last 20 years. And for the last 10 years, we have promoted a non-governmental organization, a non-profit organization, which is called the Higher Education Forum, of which many of the people in their individual capacities are members. For example, Professor Chitnis, who is there, who is one of the instrumental persons who got me here. He's also a member. We also awarded him last time as one of the youngest budding teachers. We have traveled all over the country and many parts of the world and tried to do some amount of comparative analysis between the quality of higher education in India and the quality of higher education in some other parts of the world. Without criticizing, because I don't think criticism leads to anywhere, the fact of the matter remains that in terms of the quality, which is more of a perceptual indicator, because it's very difficult to measure a quality, one can measure a standard, and probably quality assurance is a means to measure a standard. So people are talking about quality standards, but quality is a main of a process. And in terms of that process, probably Indian educational institutions, I'm talking about higher education institutions, they have a lot to learn from the educational institutions outside, particularly from the western part of the world, particularly from the United States of America. I'm not fond of the US business schools where I've taught, but the fact of the matter remains that in terms of the quality, perceptual quality, they stand ahead of us. There are institutions of academic excellence over here, the IITs and IIMs, I'm not talking about them. They are probably what you call some amount of oasis in the desert, etc., etc. Now, if you look into the quality, and I'm talking about only the quality as perceived from the teachers, because we are the teaching as a community, because quality is not a binary concept, it is not a unitary concept. Quality is more of a relative, and here we are talking from an angle of a teacher. Students perceive the teacher's quality. Outside corporate world perceive the teacher's quality. The corporate recruiters, they perceive the teacher's quality. The management perceives the teacher's quality. The parents of the students perceive the teacher's quality. So there are various stakeholders who perceive the teacher's quality, and their definitions are different. Teachers might be happy by teaching inside the classroom, but the students may not be happy with the teaching. The corporates may not be happy with the type of the attitude and the type of the skills which are being generated by the teachers or by the teaching community at large. The parents may not be happy because they are unsatisfied or dissatisfied with the return on the investment. The community large may not be happy because they see the students getting violent or the students are not following the right value system and so on and so forth. What it means is that at the end of the day, if you look at the quality standards of the educational institution, to a larger extent it depends upon, there is a causal relationship between how we as teaching community, we are perceived by all these stakeholders. I'm talking about the students on the one side, I'm talking about the parents on the other side, I'm talking about society at large on the other side, I'm talking about the corporate recruiters on the other side, and finally I'm talking about the management on the other side. We need to look at the quality. And therefore, when one look at the academic, I'm an academician, let me try to put the academic dimensions. When I look to the academic dimensions of the quality of the teacher, let's try to look into what are the roles. And we primarily define the teaching as a role. If you look at the ACSSB, if you look at the ACBSP, all the international accreditation agencies, or the NAC or the NBA, if you look at all the accreditation agencies, and if you look at the type of roles which we perform, let me try to put the quality vis-a-vis these roles. The primary role of a teacher is teaching. Teaching inside the classroom. That's a primary role, and probably we need to look at it. What is my curriculum? What is the value addition I'm doing to the particular? What is the type of the teaching methodology I'm following to make the classes more interactive, more experiential in nature? I must need to define, and that's a modern day world, that we need to define what is the course outcome, what is the expected learning outcome of each of the courses which I'm talking. For example, I'm teaching strategy, and at the end of the day, if I want that the student should be in a position to prepare a strategic plan, are they really in a position to prepare a strategic plan? That's what I'm talking about. The assessment system, how do I tally it with the learning objectives? And there are many other things, but let me not go into that. But I'm talking about the fundamental acid test of a teacher is how good I'm accepted as a teacher. And I'm afraid to say that many of us are not teachers by passion. Many of us are not teachers by commitment. Many of us are not teachers by choice. And many of us, teaching is not a first profession. Teaching may be last profession in Indian situation, and therefore we need to look at this teaching as a very serious profession. Teaching as a profession in which I devote my time, my commitment, my energy, irrespective of what I'm being paid. It cannot be linked to the payment. That's one thing. That I'm talking about the primary role. The second role of the teacher, what we talk about internationally as a scholarly role. And that we talk about what type of knowledge I create in terms of my research ability, in terms of my research. Though research is not the particularly focus of the Indian teachers barring a few institutes, but the fact of the matter remains that if as a teacher I am not in a position to generate fresh knowledge, I cannot satisfy my students with the existing textbook knowledge, because existing textbook knowledge is available already in the Google. And therefore the better teachers are those who do good research. They're known as the good researchers. They create new knowledge, and they bring the new knowledge to the table so that the students are very excited. They're, hi, I have got a teacher who is not only teaching from the textbook, but teaching something from the research which he or she has created. And therefore, this scholarly role of a teacher is an extremely important role. In all over the world, for example, if you want to become an MBA teacher, India is probably one of the exceptions, you need to have a PhD. I'm giving an MBA because I teach in institute. The role is what we talk about, academically qualified faculty. And academically qualified faculty means I must have a doctoral degree and must have a doctoral degree in that particular discipline. Why it is insisted? It is insisted that if you have got a PhD degree, probably you are a researcher in mind, you are a researcher by intellect, and therefore you will be in a position to bring the research to the table of the classroom. And therefore I thought that is that the second thing in which the Indian teacher should focus on, and that the research. The third, international they call it advisory role. And that way, as somebody speaker spoke in the morning, that the mentoring outside the classroom. I should not only teach the students as a commodity in the classroom, but I should talk to the student offline outside the classroom in an informal matter, try to feel them comfortable, try to make them understand, guide these students who need extra guidance because the learning capabilities of different students are different. What we talk in India, remedial classes, tutorial classes, etc., but they're prescribed in the university guidelines, we don't follow them properly. So this mentoring, which is a process of helping a student to learn by themselves and to develop, that's a very, very important thing. In America, every teacher at the initial stage of the life has to spend minimum 10% of its workload through a role of a mentoring or an advisory role. So I thought as a teacher, I must look into that aspect, how much of mentoring I'm doing, because mentoring brings my relation with the student a little bit closer to me. The fourth role which I talk about, and that's a classical role, and that we talk about leadership role, that means institutional building activities. I as a teacher must get involved in some institutional building activities. It could be a placement, it could be managing an admission, it could be running a language class, it could be getting involved in the information technologies, development of the system, it could be corporate consultancy, it could be anything. But I'm talking about these institutional development roles are very important because the institutional development roles actually inculcate the leadership skill among the teachers. Because today what is happening is in 90% of the cases, university have prescribed certain guidelines. Assistant professor is supposed to do 16 hours, the associate professor is supposed to do 12 hours, whatever it is. The professor is supposed to do 8 hours. And what is happening is, I teach 16 hours, I come out of the class, I have no bondage of love with the institute. You know, the teacher's bondage of love with the institute is extremely important, that I should be proud to say to the outside world that I'm a part of the MIT. I should be extremely proud to say that I am a product of this particular institute. I am working with this particular institute, and that come out through this institutional building activity. And last activity, which is need of the hour today, and that's an extension from the morning discussion, that I must be deeply involved in the community services. In the USA, about 5 to 10% of the workload of the teachers is given in the community services. That means I'm talking about doing certain social service. Because through the social service, I get an inspiration. And that inspiration I transfer into the class, and that inspiration drives my students also to undertake the community services. So these are the 5 different roles. I'm talking about teaching role, I'm talking about research role, I'm talking about mentoring role, I am talking about advisory role, I am talking about finally in terms of this role of what is called the last role which I talked about is essentially the institute building role, etc., etc. What is the balance out of it? It's a very, very difficult to say balance, but in India we have come out with the thumb rule. And the thumb rule is the 70% should be devoted to the teaching and the research, and 10%, 10%, 10% must be dedicated to the other 3 roles. And the 70% which I'm talking about teaching and the research, it depends upon institute philosophy, it depends upon you, it can be 50-20, it can be 20-50. If you follow this type of matrix of 5 roles, my request to all my teaching fraternity will be, please go back, look into these 5 roles. I will give the list of these 5 roles to Mr. Karad over here. I will circulate it to you. Please go through it and see where you lack. Try to improve it. Try to improve the quality benchmark. And I'm sure you have a great future. Students have a great future. India has a great future. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. A.K. Sen.